welcome to a Yes and practice game with Group 4. I am Dusty Dowsing. I will be the DM for this session and the backup DM for Session 4. Today we will be playing a short adventure that will take the players into the woods. And if you've got that song stuck in your head, I'm not sorry. We'll go around now, and if we could start introductions with Adam.
Hey, I'm Adam. I'll be playing Zax, a Paladin. Paladin of the Silver Dragon.
Wonderful.
Hi, I'm Jen. I will be playing a Fire Genasi evocation wizard known as Professor Areve Quince.
Kia ora, I'm Lyndon. I'm a backup player for this group, and I will be playing Brother Rin, a Wood Elf monk.
Fantastic. So, Zach, may we call you Professor? And just as a shortened name, because was it Professor Areve Quinn?
Areve Quince.
Areve Quince.
Professor.
I will get it right for later. I love quince jelly. It's delicious. It's got strong childhood memory vibes for me. They sell it at a local store and it's made in France. It's very fancy and the jars make excellent cups after they're done. You have received a mysterious letter. It's not terribly mysterious. It was signed at the bottom by someone named Sam. The flowing script explained that you had won a sweepstakes and enclosed are tickets to the Celestial Diva's performance in Cityopolis. Cityopolis is some distance away, and you thought it'd be nice to get out and stretch your legs and catch the train from Town through to Cityopolis before taking in the show of the Celestial Diva. Your journey is a short hike, a couple days through the woods. It's very pleasant and the roads are well maintained. And as you set off on the first day, the path is lovely and comes to greet your feet. It's been nice and dry lately, so there are no puddles or anything to deal with. And the lovely rural walk turns into the nice, lightly wooded edge of the forest. And as you slowly start into the deeper parts of the woods, you see a group of salesmen, it would seem, peddlers, coming towards you. They're tall figures hunched over beneath large backpacks. And they approach you. Oh, hail, adventurers! Would you like or care to buy any of our wares? We carry only the best from Cityopolis through Townstown and on to all the outer regions. We have all the bric-a-brac and little things you might need for your journey ahead or for your return home.
Well, I've not been to Cityopolis before myself. Can you recommend anything that I might need there?
We have little maps that show the general layout of the city and the main wards and districts. We have, mostly household goods. I just have the map left over from my last journey. But it's clean and I can sell it to you.
That sounds very useful.
Wonderful. And there are free bracelets that go with all of our sales. It's a special offer. We're trying to clear the stock. It's a lot of bracelets to carry.
Wonderful.
Here.
Wouldn't want to be carrying too many bracelets.
No. And he hands you a map. It's a little bit crumpled, and it's like a real touristy map, and it's got the layout of the city and like big attractions drawn in, kind of like a playmat at a family restaurant that I won't name because we're not being sponsored by them. Hit us up.
Sounds like this will be very useful.
Yes, absolutely. If you're heading to Cityopolis, this will absolutely help. Can I interest anything for the others of you? Me and my friends carry many wares: soaps, incense, fine shampoos.
I would like to inquire, do you have anything by the way of inks for writing? I seem to have been running out. I didn't stock enough for the journey.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. We have many various colors. We even have these new ink sticks things that have come out of the city. I don't.
Ink stick?
Yes.
A stick of ink?
Yes. It's filled
But I
with
would have to
ink.
try it. This sounds fantastic.
Yes, absolutely. And he hands you what is essentially a pen. New technology is flooding out of Cityopolis. City. I'll get it right.
Cityopolis.
Is this
not,
a warning of
not
things
the
to come?
apocalypse, it's Opolis. Like polis. Cityopolis. Its cities are always a dangerous thing in fantasy settings. All the bad things happen there. Yes, we certainly do. And he hands you a selection of different coloured ink sticks, these little pens, and a free bracelet for you too. We have many, and we like to give them with all of our sales. You, would you care for anything?
Hey, yeah, you can hit me up with one of those maps for sure, because I have no idea where I'm going.
I'm sorry, I only have the one map, but I have a piece of paper, and your friend has ink sticks. You could make a copy or a tracing.
Hey, that's great. That's thinking. I'm
happy to lead you and show you the way.
True. Okay.
We should stick together. We only need one map. We're friends after all.
Yeah, I will nonetheless take this useful piece of paper from this lovely guy. And do you have like a medium-sized cooking pot? I've been telling these people about my soup, and I have no pot.
Yes, I believe we do have one. And they all start reaching up into their packs and around and pulling out things and looking in their hands, and none of it's right. Oh, I've got one! One of the others yells out, and he runs over with a medium-sized cooking pot. There's a little bit of a dent in it, but it's we'll take a little off the price. Very reasonable, and of course, free bracelet.
Oh, thank you.
Wonderful. And he hands over the pot and takes a small payment for that, and hands you your bracelet. And if there's anything else you need, then we'll be heading this way, and we come back every week or so to restock as we do our rounds. But anything else? Anything else before we head on for the rest of our day? No? Very well.
You have a good day is all I like.
I will, and have a safe and wonderful travel. The campground was delightful, and I saw plenty of firewood there, so it should be easy. And
Excellent.
as the...
Blessings of the Silver Dragon be upon you.
Oh, thank you, sir, thank you. Well met, and Godspeed. As they hustle off, and sort of you can see they're sort of discussing their sales as they shuffle off towards the outskirts of the forest. The bags rattling and clacking on their backs, and you carry on. The day is very pleasant, and even as the forest deepens, the road cuts a path through the woods, and you follow this azure blue ribbon that winds through the trees. The leaf litter is cleared away from the path, and it's a very pleasant walk. And eventually, as the azure blue drifts into oranges and peaches, and eventually turns to black of early night, with stars starting to spread across the sky, you come across the campground that had been mentioned. You can see the stone fire circle already laid out, a lean-to nearby indeed, filled with wood. And as this is a well-travelled path, this is a safe campsite. The roads are usually kept well clear, and you set up your camp around this fire pit, and the evening's going nicely as you drift into conversation about things you might want to see, study the map and take notes, and make plans about what you're going to do first and where you want to go shopping, and if anyone's heard the fashion from the North District yet. And as the night drifts on, and I imagine that Brother Wren puts his cookpot to good use, or was it for ulterior motives?
No. This is no. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Ulterior motive cookpot.
Trying to make soup with. I mean, having a look for vegetables, but also just throwing bits of ration into the pot with water, because it's important to be both hydrated and nourished. It's nothing quite as warming as a soup.
There are small plantings of root vegetables and seasoning around the glade, and you do find an easy time. This is a regular trail that people will stop at, so travellers take the liberty of making it a little bit nicer for them. It attracts in some of the cuter wildlife because free carrots are free carrots, but it can't be helped. And as you settle in, we'll assume that watches are posted at some point. And as you all lie in camp, just sort of slumbering and drifting off, just everyone give me perception checks as you're all on the edge of awareness.
I got an 8.
Yes.
Fantastic.
I got a 26.
Nice.
I got a 3.
Fantastic. So Zax and the Professor are deep in research or snoring away, and have taken the liberty of the easy setup and early night to get a good rest before heading on to Town tomorrow. Brother Wren, you are tending to the crops a little bit, and just sort of working out on the edges of the camp, and you hear rustling and a twig snap. You hear muffled voices coming from the underbrush. They are approaching. They don't seem to have noticed you yet. They definitely don't seem to have noticed you yet. As your ears perk up and you look from your tasks towards the sound.
So I'm just going to quietly and casually sneak back to the others and give them a poke and go, hey, Garrett, people are sneaking up on us.
Oh. Are they friendly people?
They're sneaky people. I have established that much. Exciting.
Sneaky people aren't always friendly people. I'll be on my guard.
The best defense is a good offense, so we should sneak behind them, surely?
Yes. You
go first.
I could offer myself as bait rather than as sneaking, because I'm not good at sneaking.
No.
So Rin's gonna indicate where the people are and start working around the flank.
Okay. Give me. Are you going to wait for Ren to get away from the camp, Professor, and then follow? Yep. And Zach, you're going to lay in wait because you know as soon as you move the jigs up.
So I'll wait till each of the two have moved a bit away from the center of the camp, and then I'll stoke the fire up good and hot, and start talking to myself loudly.
Very good. Right. Brother N, you make your move out, and you start walking circles round to come in from behind on these erstwhile intruders. Professor, after a short count, you follow afterwards, and I would like you to both give me sneak rolls as you move around in the cover of the edge of the campground, tracking towards these creatures.
15.
I'm so sneaky. I got 21.
Very good, very good. And as you make a clatter out there, Zach, so just starting to fire up, putting on a kettle, I am. That's what it is, and that sort of chatter, I imagine.
And the occasional imitation of a second voice.
Yeah.
Yes, I'd like some tea with that. Yes, I've prepared some soup.
Give me a performance check.
That'll be a 22.
Fantastic, fantastic. As convincing as Arnold River and Mr. Flibble. You carry on your pantomime for a moment as the others move into position. You see them dart out of the camp. You finally start hearing the voices approaching. You hear one of the voices say, "Okay, on 3, we jump out and establish dominance. 1, 2, and you hear a beautiful deep voice say, "They're right behind us as well." And then you hear 3, and 2 of the creatures leap from the bush. The other one steps out calmly, and you see 3 owlin owlets, tiny little guys. They are not much more than little balls of fluff. My apologies for them not being painted, but I like to have some visual aids even if we're doing a theatre of the mind. Let me see. These little guys here. These little guys, they are wearing sort of scrappy leather armor. It looks like it could be cosplay. You're not too sure. They carry little wooden swords. They may be made of metal, but it mostly looks like paint. 2 of them leap out and say, "We have you at disadvantage. Why don't you give up?" And the other one raves a little bit and sort of just stands behind. And the third, who stepped out calmly, just looks up and waves at you, Brother Wren. "We really mean no harm."
Oh no, it's great. You guys look so scary.
Well, it's all part of the ruse. You see, we need to establish dominance and coerce you into working to help us.
And what help do you need, young fellows?
Well, it's actually quite dire, you see. Our Parliament has been kidnapped.
The entire parliament? The whole thing?
All the others, yeah. They've all been kidnapped. It's been going on for a week now. They've been taking the oldest ones first from near the camp, and then as the adult folk went out looking, they took them. They started taking the kids last. We've all been a bit scared, but Artie, and that's me, and Julio, that's him, and Hetty, that's this crazy one who won't be quiet. Hetty, keep it calm. We're all that's left, and we need to rescue our family and friends and get them back. We need your help.
Well, you have been very brave. Well done, all 3 of you.
Well,
But it's a better way to ask for help with kindness than with and she'll sort of poke at like the wooden sword. Then with all of these,
These are just aids to our natural bravery, though. Yeah.
okay, well, you may call me the professor.
Okay, the
Here's
professor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Zach?
The Zach. Yeah. And who's
So
I'm
I would
Rin.
feel, yeah,
Rin?
Ren, I would feel comfortable with giving you aid and help, but they would have to agree, and she'll look to the other two.
These big owl eyes open wide and pleading, and look up to you. They're only about 1.5 feet tall. They are adorable.
Of course we can help.
Well,
Rin looks up at his companions and goes, "Guys, you know I'm always encouraging you to do things that would be cool and fun. And I think this would be both those things. Yes, Adi, Teddy, and Eddie, we will help you.
it's Julio, but that's okay.
Julio,
If you're going to help
Sorry.
us, then you may call me Eddie if you wish.
No, it's important to take people seriously and respect them.
Thank you. I appreciate that quite a lot. Well, that went easier than I thought it would, Artie. Why did we spend so long working on a plan? I don't know. Look, we're gonna get help, and let's see if... Look, we don't know where they've taken them. And we know how to get back to where we roost, but there's no one there. We don't know. We're not trackers. We try. I mean, we adventure a lot in the woods, but we never stray too far. This is about as far as we come. We like to see what the travelers are doing when they camp, and learn their songs, and hope that we don't get in trouble when we repeat them. How can we help you help us?
Well, logically, we could follow because your parliament was taken from where you roost. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. We were. Everyone's been taken from around our village.
That would be a good place to start then, to find some clues.
Okay, follow us. And the owlets hop off excitedly into the bush. They're chattering and talking and bumping into each other, and they're not terribly loud, but they are terribly excitable. And it doesn't take long before you see the dense forest and bush that they lead you through open up into more of a clearing, and you can see in amongst the trees there are branches that have been cultivated as perches. There are nests and huts built into the sides of the trees up above. It's really quite delightful, kind of like the owl equivalent of someone who really loves their cats and builds lots of ramps and stuff for them. And well, this is where we live. I don't know what clues you need to look for, but it extends as far as you can see that way, and about 4 banks of trees over this way. The glades may be 50 feet in the short direction and 120 feet in the long direction. There are not many low-level structures, but you can see that there is a lot of foot traffic, and it looks kind of like a lot of play goes on down here. People walking around and just enjoying the ground.
Artie, did your people construct all of the things here? Is this your...
Yes. Yeah, this is where we live. We like the simple existence. We like to get out a little bit. We don't often go near the big cities. Our folks warn that we're a bit small for that, so we'll get lost under a wagon wheel, they say. Keep off the road. Yes.
Is your community dependent on outsiders in any way? Is there a
No,
connection with...
we grow all of our own foods and resources here, and we make a lot of what we need. Some of the adults go to town for supplies and things that are harder to get, like paper and ink and the like. But we still make dyes and use those for doing paintings. And you see there's a tree nearby with several paintings of owls and having glorious adventures and standing over what looks to be the broken body of a dragon. That's my one. I did that. It's pretty preschool. It's really nice. Endearing is what it would be.
And what inspired you to depict a dragon being slain?
Well, all the big adventure stories we hear when we camp out at the grounds and listen to the travellers talk about dragons and how awesome it would be to be able to take one down and live off its treasure forever. And I thought it'd just be neat to be standing up on top of one after it's been bested. See, he's just unconscious.
Not every dragon is a bad dragon. I mean, you don't have to say I'm a dragonborn and I serve a dragon. Like, as much as I'm amused by your picture, I am a little bit offended here.
He's really honestly just sleeping. Look, there's little Z's coming out of his snout.
Very good. I'm sure, Artie, you would not attempt to murder me with swords to steal my treasure and sleep upon it.
But watch out for Hetty. He's insane.
Hetty is pretty crazy.
And as you start looking around the lower expanse of the roast of this village for these owlins, you can feel free to investigate or look for tracks using nature or perceive anything you want.
Dear.
And or any of the other options that I've not mentioned specifically.
Yeah, I think Ren's just going to clamber maybe up to the tops a little and look.
Yeah. Give me a... just looking out over the area?
Yeah.
Yep.
So 14 for perception.
14 for perception. The area around looks clear. You don't see any other creatures nearby. The forest, you notice, seems oddly quiet here as well. The sound of wildlife that was closer to the road seemed to have dropped off. Now that you start gazing out and really concentrating on what's going on, you notice the distinct lack of noise from extra wildlife. Like something's scaring it off in the area. While you're up there, you look around and take advantage of some of the catwalks between the trees to expand your search. Zax and Professor, what are you up to on the ground?
The Professor is going to sort of take a circuit around the outside of this glade area of open ground to see if there's sort of signs of broken branches or trodden areas where something had been repeatedly egressed upon, perhaps giving an indication of the direction.
Yeah, absolutely. And Julio follows you around as you walk the outsides, and he explains in his lovely, calm voice that the first people were taken just on the outskirts, and he points to an area where there's a small garden. Everyone's been taken at night, he tells you. And as you wander around, he points out that if you follow down that path, because there is a lot of traffic on the ground here, he points out paths that would lead down to the stream where they get their fresh water, to the areas where there are clearings where they can look around the whole forest. There's a rather large hill that sticks up that has no trees on the top of it, that sometimes they like to climb up. And give me a investigation check as you progress around.
I got a 15.
A 15. You do notice some odd tracks around the garden areas where the first people were taken, but it's been several days and there's been a bit of foot traffic over it. The trail sort of is incomplete and hard to make out, but it does look like large booted feet were potentially involved in this thing. There's a clear heel print in one place, and the depth of some of the prints for how long they've lasted over the last few days would indicate that the creatures are of some size and density.
She'll just turn to her little fluffy companion. Was it Hiri?
Julio.
Is that right? Julio. And she'll ask, you know that they were taken during the night. Did they make any sounds, screams, calls, cries, growls?
At first, no one heard them. No one. But then, when the adults were taken, we heard some of them. They were out in hunting parties, and they would hear the yells of them as they... I don't know. And then the night when the rest of the owlets were taken, we heard that. A big tear forms in his eye as he tries not to remember too hard. It's really important that we find them.
Of course, we need your family. Alrighty. Okay, well, we'll try to stay together as much as we can. Safety in numbers.
Very well, thank you. And
She'll sort of shuffle him away
from the terror.
What happened?
Zex.
Zax is probably scratching his head. He's not good at tracking. He's not good at seeking and finding, except by magical means. So perhaps interviewing one of the, if one of them's remaining.
Yep.
Are there any objects that a member of your parliament might have been carrying at the time that would be very distinguishable, that might help me if I am to cast a spell that would locate that object? It would help me locate that that particular owl in.
Well, maybe.
Is there a crown of the Owl King, or?
Well, it's a parliament. We don't have a king, but.
I'm government all above my head. Kings, monarchs.
Yeah, we live in the trees, so we would be. Sorry, I didn't mean that. Look, there is. I don't know if the speaking rod was taken. I could go and check. Yes, when they're discussing
like
that. Yeah, let me. Okay, and Adi and Hedi rush off towards one of the larger trees near the centre, where you see high up in the trees is quite a large bowl-like structure set up there, and they flit up into the trees, and after a short while, it looks like they might have had the talking stick with them. At least I can't find it unless they've hidden it somewhere else since the last time I took it. It might work. It's a stick. It's about this long, and he, of course, if you scale me down to be about 1.5 feet long, it's maybe for him. It's probably about 9-inch rod, and it's got like a bunch of owls standing like in a totem pole. They just like sit it in front of them when it's their turn to talk, and then it gets passed round because sometimes it's hard to tell who's talking. And he gives you the description, and when you feel like you've got a solid thought in mind of what this stick looks like, you may cast your spell.
Well, so my spell has a limited range, 1,000 feet. Being not American, I don't actually know how far 1,000 feet is.
So a little over 330 meters.
Okay. Might be worth waiting till the other two are back and see if we've got a good direction to start with. Use this to zero in on the location.
Yep, fantastic.
But I'll thank them kindly for their description, and think to myself that maybe we won't need to use them as bait after all.
That's why there's 3 of them. Redundancy. Plan for the future. Sustainable bait. You all coalesce back after your various excursions to scout the areas.
It's quiet. Too quiet. See?
Yeah, I see what you mean. I never really noticed. Hitty never shuts up.
I found a spot over by the gardens that may have been sort of one of the points where they were often taken, but certainly all throughout these forests, it seems if you were not, over by the road or closer to a city, you were possibly a target. So we could either make ourselves the target, like was beautifully done with Zach being the bait earlier, or we could try to go out there and find them.
Yeah,
Either way, I don't want to leave the children alone. They're like really traumatized.
See, now I had this idea. We get the noisy one and we put him out by himself, and then we see if someone comes for him. This might be traumatizing, though. I can see why that would be an idea worth putting lower down the rank.
Are you a parent, Zach?
Not anymore.
Okay. Now I am not surprised.
Okay, Rin sort of goes, Zach, just a word, and takes him by the shoulder and walks him off to the side of it and says, now look, if we all go together, they're gonna make more noise than us anyway. Huh?
Good thinking.
Yeah. It just turns back around. I think he understands now.
Unnaturally quiet.
Can't hear you, Jen.
Would they like to take a vote? We could wait here and be the bet for if they come back, or should we go after them on a hunt? All in favor of being the bait, say bait. Right. Okay. Yes. I think we're all kind of off in the court. Let's try to track them. I'm not particularly proficient in hunting or tracking. I am very good at killing things, though. Just a fun habit I've picked up over the years.
The 3 owls look somewhat worried, but also sort of that they're on our side. Don't worry. Are you sure? Yes. They said they'd help. So you... Oh, yes?
if it was survival, then I could have a go.
Yeah.
Sounds like a plan.
Right. You make your
Just
way.
spread out around from
Yeah.
the garden.
You make your way to the gardens where the first were taken, and you.
Wow, they're really deep in that soil, and then wow, that's an 8.
An 8. You pick up the trail that the professor points out, and you start concentric circles leading out, and at times you feel you've found a decisive trail, and you start heading out further and narrowing down the direction and just scouting out. You're not entirely sure that you've got the trail anymore. You're not lost by any means. The owls are quite familiar with this woods, so you're in no danger of becoming lost or straying onto the road and getting hit by a wagon because they've been raised properly. But you do seem to have lost the trail at this point. How would you like to go about reacquiring it now that you're a little bit deeper in the woods?
Shall I try my spell?
Okay.
I explained to the others that I can locate the location of the owl's talking stick. And if it is within 330 meters of us, I can tell which direction from us it is. It's a bit of a long shot. I don't know if they'll be stashing all the owlins 330 meters from us. But
Hey, it's still pretty cool. I mean, that's a cool thing that you can do.
shall we give it a go? I will cast Locate Object.
Very good. You conjure the image of the item that was described to you, and as you reach out with your mind, this ping comes back. It's right on the edge of the range, and you can feel the direction leading deeper into the woods, and you head off towards it. That sense of the object lasts for 10 minutes, doesn't it?
That's correct.
Excellent. It doesn't take long for you to make your way through the trees and underbrush. It's a little dense at times, but you can force through quite easily. And within sort of 5 minutes, you have made your way down a little embankment and up the other side towards a ridge. There's a little plateau, a little clearing on the side of this ridge, and you can see the dirt's been turned up in the middle. The object lies in amongst the mud somewhere.
Perhaps the tracks further away from camp will be easier for you to follow.
Yeah, and the tracks here are fresher. These are some of the more recent ones to have been taken, and as you walk out in amongst the we'll call it a battlefield, you can see the dirt churned up, a mix of prints, both hobnailed boots and the smaller footprints of the owlin, and you find the talking stick trodden into the mud and discarded.
Ren will pick up the talking stick and go over to Hedy and say, hold it out and say, "Hey, can I borrow your sword?" And swap the stick with his wooden sword.
He tentatively takes the talking stick off you. You do realize that means it's my turn to talk, and I'm going to. And he hands you his sword and greedily takes the talking stick and proceeds to natter away constantly about how it's finally his right to talk and everyone must listen. The other two owls seem mildly enthralled and upset at this situation, but you now have a very small wooden dagger in your possession, and 3 distracted owls. The tracks are much heavier around here, and should you wish to try and pursue them any further, you would have advantage on the check.
Let's just be doing that. I'm on a +3 for this, by the way. If we're advantage.
My -1.
A +1.
Oh, coming to a 20.
Nice. You pick up the trail. You see where the ambush is laid in wait. You can see that there were definitely 2 of these larger creatures. You can see smaller footprints as well. Maybe 3 more creatures in tow. There are odd residue marks left in the grass. Some of the grass is almost burnt away because of it, and the ground has sort of become muddy with it. It's sort of a little bit slimy and gross, but the chemical's sort of broken down now. You're not sure what it was originally. It's almost like has the appearance of like a snail or a slime trail from a slug or something, but much larger. It certainly isn't the same as a trail. It's little patches as you work your way around this battlefield, and then you find drag marks accompanying the footprints. The drag marks obscuring some of the prints as what you imagine were sacks filled with squirming creatures were dragged through the soil. And you see them leading off and down into one of the darker, more overgrown hollows of the woods. The animals here are also silent. Whatever is scaring them in the area is still doing so. How would you like to proceed?
With sword raised towards the danger.
Just 1 second before we start charging off into the unknown.
Okay.
Look at this. She's just going to sort of crouch down near one of the, sort of the puddles of goo, and she wants to try to figure out maybe what's the consistency. What is it? Is it like an acid? Is it like what could they possibly be running into?
Yeah, absolutely. Give me a medicine check.
15.
This is, or was, it would seem, a viscous fluid. It had somewhat. You sort of reconstitute some of it with a little bit of components and water from your pouch, and it as it thickens up, it has a sort of yellowish, creamy sort of colouring to it. You're not sure of the properties of it, but as you sort of examine the area, it looks to have been like a projectile, something thrown, and a splash of it, as the central point seems to have more of the residue than the outer areas, which it sort of disperses out over.
Okay, whatever we may be running into likes to hurl goop. So heads up, I suppose.
Good to know.
But sorry, as you were, it's sword raised, please. Do your thing.
And you march off in the direction of the tracks, or the tracks lead. You progress along the trail, heading down, following a water run, and it leads you down deeper into the bush and into this almost like a gorge. And you find the going a little tough at times, but make your way eventually towards this sort of darker, more oppressive feeling woods. You start feeling a odd heat running through the air, whether it's just the trapped heat from the rotting undergrowth, or if there's something warm nearby. Maybe there's a hot spring, maybe there's a moment where you could relax. No, that's crazy. This place is horrid. At this point, I would like to know everyone's passive perceptions.
Passive perception.
11.
They put that on the AC. 17. Down underneath the stats.
9 for mine.
Fantastic. You've long since lowered your sword because it was dangerous to walk down the hill with it, but it is still at the ready. And as you traverse the underbrush, you are mindful that you're walking into danger. You look around at your companions as you head on forwards, and I would like each of you to make a perception check with disadvantage, except for Brother Wren, who may make a normal perception check.
An 8.
Hey, 22.
A 10.
A 10. You, Brother Wren, are somewhat more alert. You have been keeping a closer eye on the tracks. You are sort of having studied the tactics of these creatures at the last battle site. You're a little on edge, and as this heavy feeling starts weighing down on you, your ears just prick up. You have this shiver, a sense. The hairs on the back of your neck stand up. And I need everyone to roll initiative. I just rolled 3 8s in a row on 2 dice. 2 different dice. That's frickin' nuts. And I thought it was just worth remarking on. So, let me calculate where the enemies sit before I launch into 2 fundamental things. And then these ones. That. And that. So, anyone get 20 or above? 15 to 20?
18.
18? Okay. Very good. 10 to 15?
14.
And
14.
13.
Cool. Sorry, was it Zax who got 13?
That's correct.
Excellent. Then Wonderful. Zax and the professor, you hear Brother Wren stir into action behind you. You sort of glance back to see what he's doing, and then when you look up again, you see figures stepping out, much to your surprise, I'm sad to mention, as you are afflicted with the surprise condition for this first round of combat. Brother Wren, being slightly more alert and prepared for this, you are not, however, surprised as you see, first off, two large creatures stepping out. Their limbs are long and gangly and crooked. Their skin is taut. Their eyes seem to be missing. You're not too sure. The face skin is stretched very tight over their bone structure, and their hoods hide much of them. They carry a wicked-looking pole with a omega symbol sort of thing on the end, a man catcher, and they look a bit like these.
Oof.
And as their gangly long limbs propel them out of the bush and into sight, they're standing around about 30 feet apart from each other on either side of the clearing, and they're maybe about 20 feet away from the group. The other figures that you see, at first you think that they are familiar. These hunched over tall figures with big backpacks on their back. Their bodies step out, and through the dappled light of the moon that is managing to filter down into this dark and dreary place, you see the silhouettes of the merchants, but they are not the merchants, and they will be represented something like these guys. Their long bodies bent over under the weight of what isn't a backpack, but abscesses and boils pocked all over the top. And as they step out, filling in between, so one spread out 15 feet from each of the man-catching ones, surrounding you in a semicircle. Combat begins. Professor, you are up first.
Sorry, so I am surprised.
Oh, sorry, no, you're surprised. You're surprised. That's right, Professor, you're surprised. The surprised condition ends at the end of your turn, of course. So you are now no longer under the surprised condition and may have reactions as you see fit. Wren, Brother Wren, you're up next.
Rin will go, "Oh, this is gross." And have you ever considered how probably gross this is, as he's sort of goes bounding straight up towards one of the man-catcher guys? Because I think it's important for you, and then begins to punch him.
Absolutely.
So we will punch just a normal punches. 24
That is a hit.
for 10 damage.
Fantastic. And that's magical fist damage, I imagine?
Yep. And because when you think about it, following through with the elbow,
Yep.
18
18 hits.
and another 9.
Yep.
I mean, what is really, and we'll spend 1 key point. Is it 1? For a flurry of blows.
Fantastic.
11.
11.
To hit.
That is just a hit.
Ooh.
Yes, that's their armor class.
For 11.
For 11 more points. Wonderful.
I mean, this kind of thing is proof that reality is quite thin, even if it's almost fictional. 18 for 7 bludgeoning.
Excellent.
And I believe this was the thing that wasn't on my character sheet, that I get a disengage on the back of Flurry of Blows for being a drunken master.
That's probably true. And
let's
go with that because it saves looking it up. We'll figure it out later.
Mm-hmm. And it just continues out the other side for about 10 feet.
10 feet out the other side. Wonderful. You sway around this creature after landing blow after blow on him. He stood there without making a noise as your fist slammed into him. You saw the skin break and it started to leak. It was not pleasant, but this thing seemed unperturbed by the blows. Anything else you'd like to do this turn? I think it's action bonus and movement.
Yeah, action bonus movement. Yep, I'm done.
Fantastic. Zax, the surprised condition wears off. You may now take reactions as you see fit.
I was just gonna. Yep. No, that's fine.
Yep. Excellent.
What's going on? Sorry.
No, that's quite all right. As you sort of come to your senses, you see these 3 erstwhile salesmen reach up. We've got more things to sell you, and they reach up onto their back and they grab an abscess off there. They tear these pustules out and they lob them at you. One sails in towards each of you.
But I've got your bracelet.
That's how we knew where you were. As these abscesses splash on the ground and erupt in a spray of poison, is what this is filled with.
Wonderful.
Now,
just because I'm a monk and I have to ask, this wasn't a missile attack on me.
it is absolutely not on you. It is on the ground next to you because these things spray out. I will, however, because you ask, because Shaolin soccer is a thing, and if you're going to lean into Drunken Monk, I'm going to allow you to make a... I'm going to make it tricky because you got to send this thing back without breaking it.
Yeah.
I would like a acrobatics DC 18 to trap the pustule and punt it back at the target using your monk ability to throw it back. So you would be burning a key point as well. But this is intercepting the ball, and as it were.
Yeah, sure. 26.
Fantastic. You see this thing sailing in towards you, and you just let your body swirl around, the drunken form hooking it and just scooping it and flicking it back. And as this projectile sails back and explodes on the ground in front of this thing, the poison sprays over him instead. For everyone else, I would require, since unfortunately you were stunned and couldn't spread out, Zax and the Professor, if you could make 2 dexterity savings throws.
Just
Sorry,
so-
Constitution savings throws. My apologies.
Professor, you'll get a +3 bonus to each of those because we couldn't spread out, and I have an aura of
Yes,
something.
absolutely.
I have some. What is it called? Aura of protection.
You got mum arm. Yeah.
What does that add? A +3.
+3 to
Yeah.
all saving throws.
Okay.
So this is Constitution saving throw.
Yes, it's a Constitution savings throw.
I did a bit better.
I got a 21 and a 7.
And a 7, fantastic.
17 and 14.
17 and 14, very good. So, both of you pass the first one, and you take 4 points of poison damage, halved to 2. The second one is 8 points of poison damage, and you passed the second one, Professor, so that's halved to 4 for you. But you failed the second, so it's 8 for you, Zax. The other one is drenched in a taste of his own medicine, and laughs with glee as he hops around from foot to foot, and seems none too disturbed by the result of your return attack. The poor little owlets, yes.
Oh, I just was the creature that hurled something that struck me. Is it within 60 feet of me?
They are within 60 feet. Are you a tiefling, perchance? Is that where this is going?
This is my magic item, the Rod of Retribution.
Oh, yeah.
When a creature I can see within 60 feet of me damages me while I'm holding this rod,
Yep.
I can expend a charge to force the creature to make a DC 13 saving throw.
You expend a charge?
Oh, yeah.
What kind of savings throw is it?
Dexterity.
Okay, so that is a total of 5. So I do not believe that he succeeded.
Nope.
Now, you had 2 of these things come in. Is this a reaction?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
using my
okay,
reaction.
so you can only do it on one. Yeah.
So dealer's choice because we haven't hurt either of them.
Yep,
I don't
absolutely,
think. So
yeah.
that will be 14 lightning damage.
Okay, 14 lightning damage. That's a good start.
Yeah, it slides into me and almost arcing through the liquidy goo. It like arches back through it into its body. And
it jiggles around a bit and dances to the electricity. It curses loudly as it takes its damage, and you watch as as they sort of step back a little bit. They dart into the bush and seem to almost melt into the shadows. You can see them moving out there. They're still within 60 feet, but they move very quickly. Their long legs stretching out, the weight of the backpack seemingly not so. And they shuffle around out in the open there. They're roughly 50 feet away from the centre now, and at a similar distribution to where they were before. So the closer targets are these man catchers, one of which turns around with you there behind it, Brother Wren. And its cruel looking staff, this man catcher, strikes out. The first attack, trying to grab you with it, is a natural 1, and you duck effortlessly underneath it. The second attack that comes through is a 17 to hit.
That is a miss.
as it snaps its claw towards your throat, trying to get you stuck in it. It has no luck, and it sort of keeps at
Find an
distance.
extension cable.
Yeah, absolutely. The other one moves in, its long, crooked limbs, the joints moving backwards and forwards in odd angles. They don't seem to... it's like they're made of ball joints, so everything's a shoulder. As this thing sort of wobbles and teeters towards you, the face stretching in a silent howl as it starts to snap its man-catcher towards you, Zax. Does a 23 hit?
Yes, it does.
It does? Okay. Would you kindly... Oh, sorry, no. You take... let's go with... Jesus. 14 points of damage as this thing snaps closed around your neck. You are grappled, and you are currently at a range of 10 feet from this creature.
It's unfortunate.
Yes, it's very unfortunate. You are now at range.
I
from this
wave
thing.
my sword.
Yes. It cannot attack you again with the man-catcher. Because you're already caught in it, and I think it'd rather keep you there where you're safe 10 feet away from it. You watch, Professor, as your friends are snapped into place, or at least dancing around these things, trying to avoid the embrace of this cruel-looking weapon. The owls sort of pulling themselves up out of the muck on the ground, looking a bit rough, their eyes darting around, wondering what they should do, and they scatter into the undergrowth. It's the top of the round again, Professor.
Okay, so sort of doing the mental gymnastics, those sort of globular creatures, they have sort of spread out semicircle, but sort of 50 feet away.
They're about 50 feet away from you, northeast and west-ish. So you can see them out there, yeah. They're cardinal directions from you. If you imagine north is the direction you were heading, arbitrarily it is now, then there's one about 50 feet ahead of you and one each out to the sides about 50 feet.
Alrighty, then I am going to, and the little ones have scattered. Do I know how? Do I have any indication how far they've gone?
The owlets?
Yeah.
Yeah, they dove into the bush nearby. They'd be out of the splash range. So if you guys are targeted by more grenades, you will be. They will be safe. They don't look like they could take another barrage like that. They didn't fare well through the first lot.
Okay. I'm attempting to create a barrier between us and everyone assaulting us. Mm-hmm. So I'm looking to create a wall of fire that would hopefully pass directly, like, I could put the wall so that Zax wouldn't get hit, but the person holding him would be, like, standing in the flames. Yep. And then all the way around to hopefully at least somewhat enclose so the owlets can't get flanked by the other guys. And then half this forest is going to end up on fire, but that's fine.
It's pretty damp in here. You reckon you can probably deal with it? It might not be a total burn.
Yeah, I can make it 60 foot long.
60 foot long?
20 foot high.
Okay. And you want it to be a complete circle? Or just a ring around you and your friends, sort of thing?
I want to be like a half circle. So if we had to retreat that way.
Yeah, I get it. Cool.
Yeah.
You weave your magics and spread this fire out. You want it to run through the two man catchers?
Yes.
Yeah, so that they take damage on this first barrage. Excellent. And as the semicircle blazes up in the path you indicate, hitting through these creatures, you watch them writhe a bit as the fire starts slashing at their bodies. How much damage are they going to take?
Well, they get themselves a dex save, I believe.
Yep. That's an 8 and an 11.
They both fail.
Excellent.
So they're taking 15 fire damage.
Very good. The one that's holding Zax reels a bit with the burning. The other one starting to look a little worn out, despite its ignoring the pain. As I remember how to do math. Fantastic. Excellent. And the fire burns up bright. Not burning on this side, thankfully. But it has given you a safe cover zone out one side from these creatures who will have to walk around it to get in close.
Cool. And just so that I'm not standing exactly where I was when they last saw me, I'm hoping to be somewhat obscured by the flames. I want to take a little step to the side to have a little bit more space between us.
Yeah, absolutely. Are you going to stay within 10 feet of Zax to get that sweet mum bonus?
Oh. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
You know from the splash effects before that it's around about a 5-foot radius, and they target the ground near you. So you will probably end up with a bonus on 2 saving throws, if rather than on one separate. If they split targets, they might work on the person who's holding them up. You never know.
My math says spread out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now I'm hearing that. I'm thinking, no, I'm going to give up the bonus. And I'd rather do one save and not have the bonus than one save.
Just so you're aware, I mean, you saw the splash and how that worked. You're smart enough to know that if they pair off, then it's one of those things. Anything else's turn? You step away and spread out the party so you're less vulnerable to area of effect.
Yep.
Excellent.
And I'm going to sort of call, if I'm sort of moving and getting low and calling out to the little outlets, I'm going to be like, try not to go too far, but don't be where we are just in case, you get hurt again.
We'll do our best. And if there's nothing else this turn, then Brother Wren. Fire has engulfed the man-catcher in front of you. Its form now shrouded in this orange glow as it stands there menacing, its wicked clawed instrument in its hand.
I will punch him. See, my friend is awesome. And that's an unarmed strike. A 13.
13 is a hit.
Okay. For 9. Magic-y bludgeoning.
Excellent.
Of an on-fire man-catcher.
Very good.
Yeah, so, you're gonna get vanquished real quick. 22.
That's a hit.
For 7 bludgeoning.
Wonderful.
I just... Oh, yeah, no, I'm gonna keep punching him. I mean, really, it's a spectacle to see evil destroyed. So you have 23 for 8 bludgeoning.
Fantastic. if my math is correct, and it always leans in your favour anyway, then that's how much damage it's taken. Fantastic. This thing's looking pretty wrecked now. Its limbs are sort of, every time it moves and tries to follow your combat or avoid your blows, you hear the creaking and grinding of these horrid joints that they have as it tries to maneuver around, but your blows land heavy and fast against this thing. Anything else you'd like to do?
More.
One more? Do it.
And that is 22
That hits
for 7.
for 7 more points. Wonderful. This thing's starting to look really worn down now. It's wavering, struggling to keep itself up at full height, trying to maintain this hideous visage is taxing it as it seems to be breathing heavily. Anything else this turn?
This guy's just going to stand right there in front of him, so if he wants to try anything, he's got to stay where he is.
Yep.
I'd say, yeah, that was a pretty good go. I'm on fire right now.
You aren't. You shouldn't be. It looks hecka dramatic. You're all wreathed in fire. I'm sure at one point during one of those blows, everything just went real slow motion and a bunch of doves flew off. The camera panned round. This was not directed by John Woo, but it could have been. Anything else?
It is a cloak of billowing, by the way.
Oh, fantastic! You can have a free cloak of billowing action on that as you stand dramatically, and the doves fly out from underneath it, where they were before. Who knows? But drama.
It's the draft from the fire.
Yeah. Zax, you're up. You got this horrid thing choking around your neck, holding you in place.
There is circular wall of fire.
The creature that's holding you is currently wreathed in flame as the wall spreads out from it in a circle, catching this other creature that's off to the side. You are on the nice side of the wall of fire. The other creature is at in the wall of fire presently.
And there are 3 monstrous creatures roaming outside of the circle as well.
Yeah, somewhere out there. You're familiar with your friend's spells and how they work. You know the wall is quite opaque from the other side, and it will make you harder targets on this side of the wall. You know that this side is safe and the other side is not. How would you like to proceed?
The distance from me to the monstrous things with the sacks.
Yep.
That's about 60 feet, I think you said. More.
About 50 feet
50
from where
feet.
you are. Yeah, as you're still in the original location for measurements. You're at Greenwich, essentially.
Yes. I would like to cast Misty Step on myself.
Wonderful. Excellent use of escaping.
I teleport 30 feet towards the nearest monstrous pustule creature.
Yep.
And conduct the rest of the trip to them on foot.
Wonderful. You close the distance easily.
And swing with my sword.
Fantastic. You have arbitrarily chosen to go to the one that was retributed against. So it is. You see it's sort of just recovering in little tendrils of electricity smoke drifting up off it. It should have tagged and locked out beforehand, but it didn't, and you may now have your way with it.
That was a 15 hit.
It is different for these creatures. Yes, it does.
Fantastic. I will load a level 2 smite into that.
Yeah, you will. How's that work out for him?
Are they undead or fiends?
These ones are not,
Mm-hmm.
or are neither.
Very good. Must be a couple of d8s. Here we go. 3d8 added on top. So let me see. No, there we go. I do 204 damage. And then I adjust my calculation from 43d8 to 3d8.
Man, I hate this edition. When they gave Paladins like freaking level 50 spell slots, it's just OP. Oh god.
So that's 25 damage.
Yep.
Most of which is radiant. Does that make a difference? Do I need to add that up separately?
Let me just
Oh,
check.
actually,
yeah. No, radiant is as good as a punch to these guys.
Yeah.
So, and a punch is just fine.
So at plus 7. Yes. So that's 25 plus 7.
32
damage total.
and
I swing again.
One moment. Let me just conduct some math.
Okay, I'll let you do the maths.
Okay, and then let me have the numbers float around in front of my head while I remember what this is. You, as you bring your blade down into this thing, the holy power flares up in it. The sword glows hot as you lance this Boyle. And your blade slashes down with it. And as it looks up, it starts screaming and then it starts laughing. And I need you to make a Constitution savings throw. As you split this thing in twain, it erupts in a mist of blood and viscera and whatever's in those sacks.
So that's an 8 for my con save.
Would you please take 9 points of poison damage as this cloud of gore explodes around you? And you best the first enemy.
So it's dead, but very grossly so.
Yeah. You get a feeling that he was laughing for a reason.
I take my bracelet off and flick it down at it in disgust. And then fling a javelin at... is there a second one of these within about 30 feet plus whatever walking distance I've got left?
30 feet, 20 feet, you got another 10 feet, you walk around, trigonometry. It is in the dark and in the woods. It will be at disadvantage and it shall have soft cover. So its AC is going to be a little bit better.
Regarding the dark,
yes,
there is a wall of fire illuminating everything.
There is, and it's casting flickering, horrid shadows. Whilst it does banish the disadvantage for the darkness, it is at a very long range for a javelin, which is where the disadvantage is coming from.
Would one of the tall dudes be closer?
They are currently in an opaque wall of fire, so you would have disadvantage on them. But they wouldn't have increased armor class. So,
I'll fling at the nearest pustule person.
Yep, absolutely. You target the one off to the far side where Brother Wren isn't. So working your way back round towards the west one.
The 20 to hit.
A 20 does hit. That was with disadvantage?
No, sorry.
Very good.
Second roll was a 25, so...
Well, then
Taking
you
a
hit.
20.
The javelin soars through the trees, ricochets off a lucky boulder, and shoots up into this thing. Yeah, in the distance.
I'll add a first level smite to that one.
That's got to be a melee weapon that you're holding,
Okay.
I think.
My mistake. No,
It could be mine, but I think it's
I
melee.
remember there being some dispute about it, but
Yeah.
I think melee sounds good. I will do regular damage from a javelin is 8 piercing damage.
8 piercing, fantastic. And somewhere in the dark, math is done to him. Anything else you'd like to do this turn?
That'll be it for me, thank you.
Solid turn, good way of getting out. That means it's the gross pus guys. One of them has a bone to pick with you. It's actually not a bone, it's your javelin. He didn't appreciate that. And you see the shadows flicker and dart as this thing moves just unnaturally fast. It's long, hunched over limbs, carrying it around the tree trunks. Have you ever seen the Devil May Cry, Crybaby, the way they run in that? They're just leaning all the way forward and their legs just flailing out. And it throws one of these pus balls at you and it explodes at your feet. And I need a Constitution saving throw from you.
I did a well. I got a 19 this time.
Fantastic. That will be 3 points of poison damage as this thing explodes on a tree nearby and you barely get covered by it. The other one sees this wall of flame enshrouding it, and its long limbs propel it speedily through the underbrush, and it makes it around the tree trunks, around the back edge of the flame. It seems to have a little bit more movement as you see it dart in and around, Professor. But it's too far away to lob this missile at anyone. But it stands there, one in its hand, ready. The next up is the man catchers. And Professor, standing in front of you, the silhouetted form, torched and burning, steps out. It's so close and so gross as it reaches out with its man catcher, and its first attack comes through. Does a 18 hit?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, but I will. Cause do I have a reaction? I hadn't used it
You
yet.
do.
No, I haven't done my thing.
You haven't. Yeah, you haven't done anything this turn yet.
Cool.
Since your last turn.
I'm going to use shield.
Right.
Stop it from hitting me.
This thing gets within an inch of your throat. It's about to snap shut, and your hand flicks, and arcane energy soars up. The creature drives harder, trying to bust through the shield. I imagine that a 24 is going to force its way through the shield as it leans in, the determination on its burnt face as this thing snaps shut around your throat. How do I keep rolling double sixes on these things? 14 points of damage, piercing damage, as it snaps shut around your throat. You are now currently grappled. Could you please make a concentration check?
I fail it.
And the wall of flame disappears. That was against a DC of 10?
I got a 5, but I no longer have the extra bonus for the thing still on, so it was just 5.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay, the flames disappear. The man catcher standing in front of you sees the billowing cape. The start to deflate as the heat from the fire dissipates, and it glances around and decides the best thing it can do is probably try and catch you, because it needs to keep you at arm's reach. Does a 22 hit?
Oh, yes, it does.
You are grappled. This thing sneers as it catches you in this man catcher and holds you there at reach. Because you had backed off to 10 feet still, right? Is that correct, or were you?
No, I was up against him at the time.
Okay. If you're up against it, then as you're up against it, it looks down. You see the skin on its face stretch taut. You see it start to tear, and the skin, a freshly healed wound, tears open. You see razor sharp teeth as the lower jaw distends. And this black maw, this abyss, bites out towards you. Does a 21 hit?
Yeah.
Yeah. And...
Oh, what was the damage on the...
yes, sorry, the man catcher. That's 12 points of piercing damage. And for the bite... I need these ones. As these needly sharp teeth pinch down, it's trying to eat your entire head for a further 9 points of piercing damage as it snaps and its jaws shut, and you just get your head out in time. It leaves a nasty set of cuts just down the side of your face. They should heal up fine, but it's not a place you want to be again. It's essentially the top of the round, as the owls will continue to cower. Professor.
Okay, so I'm in a bit of a bind, literally.
Yes.
And so my fire sort of flicks out and dissipates as I'm sort of jostled and thrown and unable to maintain concentration. What is the distance between the two tall, sort of spindly, grabby people?
That is about 20 feet between them.
Perfect. So I'm going to, I sort of grab sort of a hand onto the thing that's holding onto me, just sort of stabilize it and catch my breath. And be like, you see, you're not trapped in here with anything but fire. And you know what you should do? You know, you shouldn't play with fire. And her eyes begin to like flare and grow, and there's these small cracks that form in sort of her charcoal skin, and we can sort of rivers of lava running underneath. And she sort of catches him looking that way. It's like, weren't paying attention. And over here, she created a ball of fire, which she throws in between the two tall, spindly creatures, and a fireball that explodes.
Fantastic. I imagine you are sculpting this spell as not to murder everyone.
Yes.
And I will give you the blessing that the owls are safely out of the explosion. Because you can't see them, so you couldn't protect them. But you're pretty sure you know where they are.
I know.
Hetty's still talking, and the others were well out of way. Wonderful. I have some dexterity saving throws to make. Very good. It's a 2 and a 6.
Yeah, so they're both taking 26 fire damage.
Fantastic. 26. Wonderful. And this one does math too. That's how that works. The small pea of flame, this eruption just breaks out. The light coming from the little cracks in your skin flares as you channel your energy into it. And as the jaw distends from the one facing Brother Wren again, going in for another one of these hideous bites, the flames engulf it and just immolate it. It starts, it first drops its staff, it starts beating at itself and collapses, ash drifting up from its corpse. The other one, however, manages to maintain a grip on its staff as the flames lash around it. Its resistance, it takes the damage, but it seems to ignore the pain as it burns. It's looking rough. It's definitely starting to show signs of having been in a fight. Is there anything else you'd like to do?
Yeah, so like while she's sort of holding on to the stuff, she sort of like turn her head a little bit to Ren to be like, some help if you wouldn't mind.
Absolutely. Very good. Brother Wren, you are now no longer engaged or grappled.
Chris just looks down for a moment and goes like, "You were trying to catch a man, but you just caught fire."
You can have inspiration because that's terrible and I appreciate it.
And then, runs up, presumably right behind this thing that's gripping the professor.
Yeah, as you cross out across the open, you drift into range of the one waiting bombardier, and there's a little bit of a splash behind you. You can have advantage on this because it is at its extreme range and its targeting is a little out.
I will roll that, but there is another point. Was it Constitution?
Correct, yes.
That's 20.
That's a pass. You take 3 points of poison damage.
And it doesn't break his stride because I am pure and immune to poison.
Fantastic. That's what I like to hear. Wonderful.
Powers up to behind this guy. Just goes like, boo, and punches him.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? As he's running, there's a little bit of blur, and the sort of around the bottom of this robe, there's been a bit of spiky tattoo showing, and that just shifts into like shifting ink until it's a kind of big clawed hands thing happening around the outside, and even he's about, let's say 5 feet away when he unleashes this attack on my boy, and it's just this sort of clawish, handish mist powers out for a 29. Oh no, still was stuck on advantage, so I'll take the 25.
Still a hit.
Yeah.
And is that like a sort of an astral projected claw or something?
This is a Eldritch Claw tattoo.
Oh yeah.
For 10 bludgeoning and 4 force damage.
10 bludgeoning and 4 force. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Very good. That's your first attack.
Yeah, one more swing for an 18.
It hits.
Giving 12 bludgeoning and 3 force damage.
Fantastic.
And the bonus action was activating it. So.
Very good, very good. You dart forward and slam solid blows into this thing. Its body sort of recoils, taking these blows in the side. It's starting to show the fatigue of battle, but its head twists round and looks down at you. Nothing else this turn?
No.
Very good. Zax, You're out further away from the rest. You've moved around towards, you can see one of these things about 25 feet away from you in the woods. One of these little bombardiers. Otherwise, there's I think it's about a 35-foot jaunt. No, it'll be a 30-foot jaunt back to your friends, where they're currently engaged with the man-eaters.
I will leave them to take hold of the man catcher, take care of it. I will take to this one that I already hit with a javelin, I believe, and I will say I'm much better with my sword, and take a lunge forward and take a swing.
Fantastic.
And that's going to be a 13 to hit.
That just hits.
Ooh,
Yeah.
have we missed someone? Oh no, that's right. I missed a punch.
Yeah. They're not hard to hit. They're mostly just gross.
Yeah. It's like a reasonably easy thing to hit, being big, sacky, disgusting, just an unpleasant thing to hit.
Yeah.
If that's a hit, I will add a third level smite
Absolutely.
onto that one.
Yeah.
And let's see. Can I roll this better than I did the first time? And by better, I mean
The accurate number of dice.
accurately, because that was a good roll.
That was a really good roll. Yeah.
So that's the sword itself, and then for my smite, I was just hoping there might be a button. Here we go. So 2d8 plus 1d8 plus 1d8. So that's first level smite plus level, which makes
48
9
plus damage, weapon damage.
20.
Yeah. So all those numbers, I believe.
Okay.
8 slashing plus 5. No, yes. 8 slashing plus 14 plus 6 plus 3.
So it's 23 for the smite.
23 plus 8.
13.
Okay.
Is...
So 29 all
So
up.
it's only 8. The longsword is showing 8 because I'm using it one-handed.
Yeah.
The 5 is if I was using
sorry.
it two-handed. So yeah, sorry, that's
31.
sorry.
So many
You-
numbers.
Lyndon, I think.
Total, yeah.
Yeah. How much was the smite?
Oh wait. Yep. 23 for the smite and
Okay.
8 for the.
And 8 for the weapon.
Yeah.
So that puts it at 31. And it's already got a little bit on it. Yeah, that first blow hacks into it. You try to be savvy about it and avoid the parts that might rupture, but you just cut it really badly. It's sort of still wheezing and gasping and laughing at you as you, I assume, take your second strike.
I will take my second strike. And that's a 22 to hit.
That hits.
I will add a first level smite.
Yep.
Which is just 2d8. Let me see if I can. Okay, so that's 19 slashing damage, or 19 slashing and radiant total.
You decide to embrace destiny and strike through this thing this time. Once again, it pops. It erupts.
Mm-hmm.
And could you please make a Constitution savings throw?
I got a 20.
That's perfect. That means you only take half damage, which is 5 poison damage, as you're once again showered in gore and viscera. Wonderful.
That'll end my turn.
Excellent. That means it's back to that one last gross guy. And he will advance up and lob a gross little present over to you all. And by you all, I mean the professor and Ren, Brother Ren. If you could both make a Constitution savings throw for me, please. Oh, you're immune to poison, aren't you?
Yeah.
So you don't even need to make it. You can just say, I choose to fail that savings throw. Yeah. How did you get on there?
13.
13. That is a pass. You will take 3 points of poison damage instead of 6. Very good. Very good. It then darts off out into the bush again, further from the combat, trying to hide itself in amongst the trees. The man catcher, he tries to shake and rattle you in the grip of this thing. Does a 17 hit you, Professor? Yep. So as he sort of... Oh.
Wait, so he's acted... Oh, yeah, and then I've acted, which means my shield was down. Yep, so it hits.
Yeah. Okay, so as he twists this wicked claw, trying to just cause more damage to you, 9 plus 9 and 4, 13 points of piercing damage as this horrid metal collar scrapes around, and this head that had twisted around over the shoulder, you hear the popping of vertebrae as it looks down at you, and the whole side of this thing just collapses as the jaw opens up again and tries to bite at you, Brother Ren. Why am I rolling with advantage? I only get 1 dice. Does a 18 hit?
Precisely, yep.
I am running out of throat. You guys got to finish these off real quick. 2 1s plus a 4. That's 6 points of piercing damage.
Oh, I always feel sorry for it.
Yeah, its needly little teeth doing its best
It's
to...
killing me. Don't feel sorry for it. I'm like, I feel like I should explain. I'm actively bleeding.
Yeah.
I'm gasping for breath. I'm in dire straits.
Then why don't you do something about it, Professor? It's the top of the round.
Alright. So, I am going to... I mean, there was nothing wrong with a good old blast of fire last time. It's just rinse and repeat, more fire. Wait, it looks pretty sore, right?
It's looking pretty roughed up.
Do I think this thing around my neck's gonna be preventing me from like aiming anything?
No, you're grappled. Okay. Only your movement speed is reduced to 0. That's about it.
Sweet.
So you can pretty much do whatever you want, except move,
Alrighty.
unless you teleport. Perfect option.
I do not currently have the capacity to teleport, so I sort of run through all the sort of different spells I know in my brain, and when I can't kind of come up with one that I want for myself, there's a little voice in the back of my head that is like, you should use this. And it's the song of Chill Touch, which my little hat reminds me how to say, and I follow the words that are repeated in my head, and I cast Chill Touch on this creature.
Wonderful. Tell me about that. That's an attack spell, isn't it? At range, you are not within 5 feet of an enemy, so
Yeah.
That means you're not at disadvantage. I think that's how that works.
So I think it did a 13, but it did something very weird in roll 20. Something went wrong.
Yeah.
So if a
dear,
13,
dear.
I'll just take the roll of 13. I assume
Yeah.
that would have done it correctly.
Fantastic. That is actually a hit, so that's good.
Sweet. And then it will take 1d8 necrotic, and we'll hopefully have disadvantage on, like, if it attempts to attack
Okay.
me again.
Um,
Oh, I meant toll the dead, not chill. Oh well. Now we're learning. We're learning on the job.
absolutely.
Okay. And so that's 4 necrotic damage.
4 necrotic damage. There's another thing you're learning on the job today. This thing doesn't
2d8.
seem to be fussed by necrotic damage,
Oh no!
as its withered and parched skin seems to drink in the touch of death. It doesn't heal it. I'm not suggesting that. I'm just saying that death to it is like water to a sponge.
Okay.
Yes.
And she
However,
likes
I still think it
sorry.
gets disadvantage on its next attack, right? Because that's a different part of the spell.
it
Reduced speed.
Yeah.
it has disadvantage on attack rolls against me until the end of its next turn.
Fantastic. That's perfect. So, not for nothing, it is now going to be trickier for it to rattle you around. Brother N.
Okay, time for punches. I'll just, Proof, you really shouldn't feel bad about that one because you did a lot of good work with all the fire. I think the fire was good as he starts just reaching up around this thing's face for 13. That was a hit, wasn't it?
Absolutely, yes.
Doing 14 damage. There's no difference between bludgeoning and force, is there?
Correct. Not in this context.
And swings on the other side like bopping in like an alarm clock head for an 18. And 12,
12
damage.
12 more damage. Very good.
We will spend that key point. And just hit him again. 18 for 11 damage.
Yep.
And 20 for 14. And I would also like to spend a further key point and wherever it is.
Decide that in just a moment. As you you start sizing up this thing, you sway back, land a blow. You stagger around, land another blow against it. You sweep up with your leg.
He does keep up like metaphysical chatter through the
Yeah.
whole thing, so it's like his hands are waving and lecturing.
Absolutely, yeah. You sweep up its leg, and as it sort of staggers, trying to balance itself on the staff, and using your friend as a sort of almost a balance point, you slide your arm down along the shaft of this man catcher, knocking its hands free of it. And as you throw your weight back, he drops to the ground, your elbow driving into his throat and crushing it. As you then stagger back up and sway, your blows striking this thing and sundering it upon the ground. Would you still care to spend another key point, as you have now killed
No,
it?
that's fine.
Fantastic. I thought I'd save you one.
Yeah.
As your blows fell this thing, and the man catcher in your hands, the horrid contraption goes free. You shake it off. You're no longer grappled. Anything else you'd like to do this turn, Brother Lyndon? Brother Wren. Get it right.
Yeah, I will. Yeah, just to turn to the prof for a moment because you did most of that, and then absolutely bolt straight for where the other one is.
Fantastic.
The other us dude, just trying to get in his face as much as possible.
Your cloak flows out behind you as you start darting across the openings and the leaping over the bushes towards this thing. You close the ground. You're about 10 feet away from it, and
just for the record, if for your mental maps, 55 feet of movement.
You are right up in this thing's face. That's a little more than I expected, because you're probably higher level than I usually play with monks. Yeah, you can get right up in this thing's face if you want.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Zax.
I also would like to get up in this thing's face. Am I
It's-
within foot distance?
How many feet distance? 30.
30. I'm
30.
no monk.
Yeah, no, you are away on the opposite side. You're probably about 70 feet from this one from where... Oh, yes. Yes, 70 feet from this one, roughly.
I'll dash and get up to it, but that'll
Fantastic.
be the end of my turn.
Yeah, you crash through the underbrush, narrowly dodging one of the little owlets as you burst out the other side, racing towards this thing. At this point, that would make it its turn. It's relatively easy for you to pick this thing off. It's fast, and you watch as it sort of hitches up the bottom of its tattered robes and starts legging it out through the woods. You can throw or attack to stun it. It does have a disengage as part of its movement, but on your turns you're going to be able to catch up and hit it for some kind of knock it out ability. Do you wish to capture this thing or kill it?
Kill it.
Yeah. You, as this thing tears off, you essentially pick up a reasonably heavy stone off the ground and hurtle it through the air towards it. It cracks it in the back of the head and drops dead, and you watch that in the distance as it lies in the bush and hits the ground, and poof, a sad little puff of viscera that doesn't infect anyone drifts lazily down to the ground. As you stop and catch your breath, and the heat of battle starts to leave, and you feel the slight damp warmth and humidity in this place start flowing back in around you, you hear the quiet of the forest again. You look around and get your bearings. You find your small elf friends a little worse for the wear, but they look like they'll be okay for travelling. They need to stay out of danger, but you think danger's past for now. And as you pick up the pace and start moving along, following the trail, you soon come to a clearing, a wider path leading out from it on the far side. You see a number of cages made of iron and wood. Inside, the Owlin folk, tied up and bound and shoved into these cages. Many of the cages are already loaded onto carts, and the little trio that you have with you are over eager and race out towards the carts and start fumbling with the locks. There's no danger in this area though, and as you catch up and start helping the Owlins, you free them from their cages. The folk of the Parliament address you, and we're very grateful for your assistance. We feared these three had been taken, but weren't among us, and then we feared that these three had gotten lost or something else. It is pure providence that you have come to our area and saved us in our time of need. Please allow us to show you what hospitality we have, and we will help you repair your wounds and your gear so that you can carry on your way when you have recovered.
Of course, it's so wonderful to finally get to meet you. We've heard non-stop everything there is to know about all of you, pretty much the entire trip over, because they got hold of the talking stick, which they have. They've got it, and so you can, if you want to remove that from them, because I've literally been hearing Alex talking non-stop for this entire journey, and I'm about to kind of lose it a little bit. But also, it's worth noting that these three brave souls, they went and got help from us. They geared up, they got out there, and they found us and asked us for aid. So they are your heroes also.
That's very kind of you to say on their behalf. We will make sure to give them special allowances when they carry out their misdeeds. However, for your crime of giving them the talking stick, I request that you will accompany them back with us to our roost.
So at the mention of the talking stick, Rin goes like, "Oh yeah," and turns around and easily enough finds Hetty and holds up the sword that he's basically been using as a knuckle duster half the time, and presents it back as a, "Thank you. This is a good sword."
Oh, thank you very much, but I've still got the talking stick and I'm going to keep using it if that's okay. And as you take the talking stick, he sort of comes up with it and then fails to be able to hold on any longer and drops down, and he slows down the pace of his tirade, but he doesn't go completely silent.
Yeah. And Rin's just going to put the stick behind his back for someone else to pick up.
Yeah. And it's eventually handed back through to the council, and you follow back through the woods. It's getting quite late at night now, and by the time you return to the roast and clean up, you taken a rest, and it's going to be a rush the next day by the time you've had a hearty meal and thanks from the Owlin folk. And you set off back on the road at double pace. You have a train to catch and a concert to take in, should you make it to Cityopolis. I got it right. Thank you very much.